Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Friday. I know that, there's some people going to be filing in as they have, before. A lot of you have been part of this, since the beginning. So I'm just going to share my screen real quickly here. One second. I have the past couple days. And here we go. Share. All right. Obviously, this is Collective Conversations. Excited for day 4. We have had 3 amazing speakers. We're going to have another one today. So excited about having Rob Murray join us. We've also had Cassie Carl Rom, who talked about the mind. Jeff talked about the heart. Jeff Schulte, and then Jack Nicholson talked about the soul yesterday. And then really we're coming out in the end of this conference talking about the strength, what we can do, and looking at some things in that way. And I've done my best to host us along the way. We've done the purpose process, and just I'm going to hone in on the payoff that we would all take this and we would figure a way out to really integrate it into what we're doing, look at it a different way. And I'm so excited what Rob and I are going to really go through today, because I think it's really going to help with that integration and being able to actually go do something as we have some of this discussion for this next hour. Conference philosophy, you've seen this, and I've told everybody kind of hone into this. Today we're going to walk you around all of these quadrants, and it's going to be exciting to kind of see what that looks like and put it all together. We have gone through this leadership transformational pathway. The biggest thing that I say in a journey towards transformation and change, we cannot just learn and execute. We have to do more than that. So we are going to kind of walk you through that today. We encourage you as you go through this pandemic, as you kind of look in the near and distant future. We're going to give some things today that are going to really show why this is even more important than ever before. As you've seen, we talked about what, Cassie talked about, and just the high levels of that dig deep. We're going to talk a little about establishing, those new baselines and paradigms. And for us, and one of the things we wanted to offer all of you, and we'll put that in the email, is we're actually going to do a free survey at the Collective where we can actually help you identify where your team is and not assume, where they are. And they're going to own their journey forward. And I've been telling a lot of leaders this, is you guys have a lot on your mind. You have a lot on your heart and your soul and strength right now. And in order to move forward, letting everybody own how we're going to move forward by letting them have input into what their fears are and what they think they need to work on and what that can look like, is how we're going to help you in this moment, because we need everybody to play a part. So, and she also talked about being intellectually honest. Jeff talked about the heart, talked about the 8 feelings, checking in with yourself. Just if we showed up today and said, these are our feelings, right? We've done a lot for ourselves. As we look at, what Jeff put in there is the pay attention and start with self. You must take care of yourself before you take care of others. Getting 100% of the human performance, and then confidence in our leadership. Jeff talked about the soul yesterday, and obviously there was a lot that he went into, but kind of the high level things, we're really finding the gold in the shadow. Really, we can do a lot. When we think about our stories and the tragedies and maybe the failures and things we might actually go up against here, but when we're aware of those resistances, we can work through those and at least give them, a voice. Then we can actually become more resilient, and resilient leaders are the ones that do best leading organizations, especially in times like this. Integration leads to transformation. He talked about the capacity to lead, the character to inspire, the compassion to serve, so that we have the courage to act, which we're going to talk a lot about today. And then finally, the courage to confidence to creativity, right? To really look at courage as a fearlessness. You need to find the strength in our character, but then also, how do we move into confidence in the why amidst this chaos? And then finally, how do we create spaces of creativity, innovation, and opportunity? And, Jack did a great job and really leaning into that for us and giving us, being, one of the architects of putting this all together. It has just been so amazing to have him as a part of this. And now we go into working and hearing, with hearing from good old Rob Murray, who I'm so excited to be and talk about strength and the actions and behaviors and things and experiences and really like how we should do it and what we should do. So I'm going to jump right in and get into this. And I think that, the important piece is that, I've given each one an intro, and then I got my own intro, Rob. So be prepared. All right. So we have hailing from Cape Town, South Africa. Rob graduated from Stellenbosch University with a BA in theology before moving to the United States. He's completed a master's degree in social and civic entrepreneurship. He is currently completing his doctorate in transformational leadership. Over the last 15 years, Rob's really worked at the intersection of business, purpose, and social justice. As the co-founder and CEO of Transformational Leader, he has a deep passion for developing integrated resources and approaches that systematically help leaders and teams to engage deep change strategies that both transform their personal and in professional context. Rob is also the president of Westfall Speakers, a talent agency that works alongside Westfall Gold, specializing in securing the best presenters and performers for major and mega donor events. He's done so much work in that area. But here we go, Rob. Rob is a leader, coach, researcher, traveler, soon-to-be author, reader, creator of amazing gathering spaces, a locked in Tennessee son of the sea, surfer, wit that we will probably hear by when I'm done hearing this, wit beyond another measure that probably when I'm done reading this will say something, husband, father of four, my friend, my great friend, Rob Murray. Thank you for joining us.
Well, I think that's good for today. It's called good.
All done, right?
Let's move on, man. If that doesn't fix me, I don't know what will.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining us. We're so excited to have you. And just really to kind of kick us off and get us going, I think the biggest thing is like, you've had a passion for this. I know you, just your heart, you just dig in, you read so many books, you send me so many books to read and go after, and then you do so many experiences to learn from leaders. But like, where did this passion come from in helping and supporting leaders and giving them something of substance and depth and just integration? Just, you can share a little bit about that to get us started. That's going to be very helpful for the audience.
Yeah. When you think about passion, right? Most people, you're passionate about the things that come out from your life and from your own story. If somebody's passionate about something, there's a reason why they got there. I think for me, I began to realize so much of my passion for change and transformation and has come through my own story. It's, I think back 4 or 5 years ago, my wife wanted one of those talks where it was like, we need to talk. And I was like, great, let's not do that. And I managed to delay it long enough. But when she finally sat me down and started to share something, she really wanted to start to communicate this reality that, Rob, you're a great husband, you're a good father, you're a good provider, but I miss you. Like there's parts of you are that have been lost along the way. And how do I get more of that back? And so really, Brad, to your point, my passion for change and transformation has come out of the reality that moment on the bed, when she sat down and shared that with me, became an invitation for me to realize that I had lost so many pieces to who I was, to climb the ladder, to be successful, to grow and develop. In your 20s, you're kind of naturally doing some of that. But I took it to the nth degree, and I just went and I went and I went. And so somewhere along the lines, I woke up and realized something's got to change. And so I've been in a change process for the last 4 or 5 years. And I will continue to be in that for a lifetime, because you change whether you like it or not. It's just a difference of, do you want to grab it by the horns and actually show up to your life and be more present with the things that are changing and shifting. And out of my own story, getting back parts of myself, my marriage, my kids, my family, my friends, my community, out of that, I can't help but want it for other people. And I've heard it said, and I've said it in different ways. It's really hard to give something you don't have for yourself. Like, it's just really hard. Like, I can inspire you with a concept, but I can bring passion because I've experienced it. And so that's the whole thing of this work, is like, how do we channel who we are? And out of my story, my story is a story of change. And I've really grabbed that. And now I want to offer that to other people. So anything I share and shape there's intellect attached to some of that, but honestly, it's experience and it's passion. Don't get me started, Brad.
I did. Here we go. All right. So we've talked a lot about the transformative pathway and the three different worldviews, which I know you're very familiar with. Why is the way that we set up this conference for leaders, to grow more effective than other leadership development programs in the time we're in now and really in the future, when you think about all that?
Well, this is I'm gonna make this statement, but just stay with me. I think mainstream leadership development is broken. I don't think it works. The way that we have come, like the mass pop culture, leadership culture, it's broken. The studies are coming out time and time again, and it's pretty conclusive that this multi-billion-dollar industry does not really work. I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, there's an article of a bunch of CEOs and executives that basically they polled them, and you know what they worked out, Brad? Probably, I think it was 11 or 12% of these CEOs actually believe that their leadership development programs work. Okay, hold that for a second. What if I told you that about 11% of marriages work, 11% of parents get it right, 11% of your efforts will actually pan out, and yet we just keep doing it. The industry just says, well, like repeat, copy, paste, repeat. So the studies are coming out that people really don't think what we're doing is working. And I'm sitting there going, man, if something's broken, why do we keep showing up and doing the same thing? And I just think it's become a cash cow, right? For practitioners, authors, consultants, like conferences. We keep showing up and it's the same old thing. And I just think that we're offering people Band-Aids and we're offering them remedies to a systemic problem that apparently, according to the research, is not working. Harvard Business Review came out with an article talking about the workforce of the future. And the title of it was, why are leadership training, why are they failing? And what can we do about it? And I want to read this. I wrote this down. I thought this was pretty interesting because it ties into this, really what you're trying to do over the last 4 days that's different. Yep. I'm quoting here this article. It says, corporations have become victims of the great training robbery. American companies are spending enormous amounts of money on employees' training and education. $160 billion in the United States and close to $356 billion globally in 2015 alone. But check this last part. They are not getting a good return on their investment. For the most part, learning doesn't lead to better organizational performance. People soon revert back to their own way of things. I want you to read that last statement because it ties into what we've done with these 4 kind of movements. It emphasizes the predominant approach to most of the leadership culture that we know: learning and performance. Okay, now their conclusion is still a short-sighted conclusion. Well, it's a great conclusion. Learning and performance and the way we're going about it is not working. And so what have we done the last 4 days? I'm kind of tying this up. I'm in this performance category. I'm in the action category. But if I showed up today and taught you something and then told you to do it, I would only be emphasizing the current leadership culture. And apparently 11% of the executives think that's working, and most of the industry thinks it's failing. So we live in a mind to strength world. Like that, if I was to define it in our terms, that is a mind to strength term. And this is what it says: think smarter and work harder. Well, how's that going for you in this global pandemic? Like, how's that working out? Think smarter and work harder. Do you need to do those things? Yes. Do you just need to do those 2 things in that order? I was going to say the jury's out. The jury's already in. The answer is no. Mm-hmm. So apparently it's not working before, and it's sure as heck not going to work during a global pandemic to think better and work harder.
Sure. Yeah, I think that, obviously you have studied a lot of leadership and organizational paradigms, not just kind of like the stats and the studies. So you also study a lot more about change itself.
Yeah.
How are these 2 things being affected right now? And how are those things going to affect us? And especially our ability, when we're talking about strength, to deliver.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I just brought some doom and gloom in the first point. Like, everything you know about leadership development, for the most part, not according to me, is apparently not working. Like, sucks to be you, sucks to be us. Like, yeah. But now you're bringing up a second thing, change in paradigms. Okay. If I can take you real quick and just lift you up above the clouds, life is full of paradigms. Paradigms are a collection of beliefs and values and the ways that we do things. And there's enough people that subscribe to it that it becomes the most consistent paradigm. Well, the paradigm of business, the paradigm of leadership, the paradigm of life, the paradigm of community has been forced to be different now. Now, change itself is hard, but have you ever had a forced change? It's one thing to have a disease that maybe slowly takes your life and you can begin to cater to the change. It's another thing to get a phone call and something dramatic has happened. Well, we are in a forced change right now. Like there's nothing you could have done to prepare it except for those early doomsday preppers. They had everything they needed. They knew this was coming. But for the most of us, we did not know that this was coming, and now the world has changed. A paradigm shift makes way and makes time and space for a whole bunch of guys. Let's take it to the leadership space. There's people that know, hey, what's happening right now is not working. And so they're like the prophets and they're like the pioneers, and they're going, guys, something's got to change. Something's got to change. They're kind of that annoying voice in the background, like this isn't working. This isn't working. And we kind of shy them away. The problem is they eventually have a point and they gain enough traction. And then the early adopters show up. This is of a new paradigm. So the old paradigm's kind of like crescendoing, and these pioneers are kind of making their noise down here, and they're starting to gain traction and go, well, maybe there is a different way to do business. Maybe there is a different way to do leadership. And all of a sudden they start to gain momentum. This paradigm's coming down and this one's starting to gain traction. Finally, like the like normal adopters catch up, and now the new paradigm has emerged. And there's a few late adopters. They're like, they're going to go down with the ship, and eventually even they have to convert. But now by the time a new paradigm has emerged, chances are that new paradigm is waking up to what? There's problems with it too, because life is just full of challenges. Right. So the point that I'm making here, guys, we're in a ship that has sunk. Okay. And the tools that you had last year or 3, 4, 5 months ago, they may not even work anymore, apparently, according to the studies. They weren't working back then anyway. So what do we need now? What tools do we need and resources to step into a forced change, a forced paradigm shift? Because we're not going to make it through if we don't wake up and acknowledge the fact that the world is not the way it was, and we don't have a choice, and we better show up and do something about it, right?
Yeah, it's good. So as we think about, when we look at this strength quadrant and kind of going into that and the do's, we see words inside of there. That's the actions, behaviors, that can help us can you help us on what those we should be considering, is really as we've learned over the last 3 days, and then like, okay, actions be like, let's go, cause it's not a, think and go. We've done this for a reason and a purpose, and this paradigm that we have seen work at a lot of levels, and a lot of people on here, are clients of ours that have seen that as well. Can you just talk about, when we look at this strength conscious, just kind of the actions and behaviors?
Yeah. So we're up against this culture, leadership culture, that says, like we just said, think smarter and work harder, right? Well, like to your point, yes, we've done something different. Before we get to the strength quadrant, because that's the last one on this pathway we've taken, let's quickly look at the journey you've been on. Cassie started out kind of letting us know, just showing up to kind of where we feel safest often is the mind. It's like, hey, what's happening here? Like what's going on? Like, let's look around, like the structures, the ship, like what's happening, look at the market. And she kind of found us in a place where she said, like, wow, we're here. This is us. And let's try to make some sense of that. And it was like, oh, okay, good. Okay, well, and then she even said something, well, we can't make some sense of some of this. Okay, so she was also truthful about that, which then took us down into the heart, right? And Jeff, there's a lot of things that happen in our heart, but Jeff focused predominantly on feelings. Like, how do you feel about that? Well, all of a sudden, the structure and the intellect and the safety that the mind can normally offer, we went down into the heart and said, gosh, we got some feelings about that. And Jeff did a check-in, right? How are you feeling? Yep. How are you feeling? Gosh, I'm afraid. Well, don't be afraid. No, I am afraid. Like I'm sad. I'm angry. Like I'm lonely. Like, and all of a sudden you're starting to catch up to your insides. Like, what do I want? What do I need? Those are things. So we went down there and we began to like digest the fact that we're actually human. Sometimes it sucks to be human. Like sometimes in the marketplace, we want to be machines, right? And that's what I had become. When my wife confronted me, it was the fact that I had become more of a machine than a human. And it's understandable because The marketplace wants delivery. And we figure, well, who cares what you feel? Who cares what you even think sometimes? Or who cares what you need? Who cares what you want? Just get it done. So Jeff took us down in there and he began to help us catch up to those insights. Well, then we went over to Soul with Jack or Gandalf. And and Jack took us up onto a mountain and he fire hosed us with perspective, because that's what the soul is. It's perspective. It's meaning. Now, it's pretty tough in a crisis to find meaning, but if you don't stop long enough and pause, the soul is like, okay, what is happening here? Not mind, not trying to figure it out. Soul is perspective. It's like, let me see the whole lay of the land. I have a company with a strategy, okay, mind. I have some feelings about the strategy that has been thwarted by this global pandemic. Soul says, okay, what does that mean in the scope of your life? What does that mean in the scope of the world, the scope of the industry? It just takes you above the clouds. Now we get to the part where I'm trying to focus on today, which is what? Now, what am I going to do? Okay. It's very different. It's the difference between, I don't want to mock IKEA, but when I go buy an IKEA couch, it's guaranteed to last a year. Like I buy an IKEA couch, a dresser or something, and I'm thinking it's cheap. It's very hard to make, but it's affordable. It's kind of clean and it's modern, but it's probably not going to make the move. Like when I move offices, that stuff goes to the dump and I just buy another one. Yep. Okay, that's the mind of strength. That's the approach, like let's just get it done, we need a couch. Is that IKEA couch cool? It's really cool. Is it full of substance and quality, like that leather couch that you've got, like genuine leather that you know your children will probably have one day? It's a story that has tears and cuts. You've cared to it. You move it. When you move 5 times, the leather couch comes with. That's what we've done the last 4 days. We've tried to create a texture through the way that you will eventually have a couch. So when you go out and buy a couch, the question is, do you want one that's disposable, or do you want one that's going to last a lifetime, one full of meaning? And so I'm coming up from these bottom quadrants of heart and soul, and I'm coming into strength with a leather couch. Like I'm coming in with genuine leather, not pleather, right? Like, so that's what we're doing. So then that gets to what you just asked, which is, now we're in strength. And this is the quadrant what? Like, Brad, you're in the marketplace. When you think strength quadrant, what do you see?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Act and move and fast. And you know what?
Yeah.
I did a lot of my career. So.
Yeah. What about if there's people out there listening, why when you get into the strength quadrant, like unabashed, it's like, let's go. What else is it? It's like it's delivery, it's execution. It's they say in the South, get her done. That's
It's so odd.
Is that good or bad?
That's but we'll take it.
Oh, okay. All right. And so it's like, we got to get this done. We got to show up. But the difference is we're coming into this place with facts, data. This is what a strength person would say. Well, what's the facts? Like, what's the data? Are you guys done on this conference already? Like a strength person's probably not even watching this conference because they're like, no. I got my marching orders on day 1 and I'm getting it done. Like I'm out there. Mm-hmm. They want to get out of the meeting. They just want to be told, what do you want me to do? And how do I do it? Mm-hmm. The difference is all of us have that inside of us. Most of us, we're just trying to slow you down long enough to catch up more to yourself so that when you eventually do go do something, it's got a little more character and substance to it.
I love that you use the leather couch because it's not only, and you talked about it, because that leather couch can also have, many generations sitting on it. So you're setting something up that's not only IKEA, but it's like this leather that can, and everybody's going to have their imprint, right? And different size imprints, right? But I think that, it really paints an awesome picture of like, you're going to sit on it and then your kids are going to sit, and maybe their kid, and like, it's that standing on shoulder of the giants. It's that legacy. It's that tradition. It's the things that matter. Right.
Yes.
And so that really hit home, when you said that with that example. And, as we are all in this strength and probably doing, which a lot of us, are right now. I mean, probably everybody here, there's a lot more doing that is even pushed on us
Yeah.
right now than probably ever before. So why does using or considering or walking through these other quadrants help us in that operational place? You know, like the
Yeah.
why behind what you just all, like, why does it help us in that operational space?
Yeah. So so we've done a heart, soul, mind, strength, and we're doing all this stuff, and it really connects to our humanity.
Mm-hmm.
But let's add a lens onto those quadrants that'll feel more resonant with the way we see leadership or the way we approach our jobs, and let's bring it into more of a corporate environment. And
Sure.
I'll see if I can get fancy here and share my screen.
That'd be great. And
See.
then if anybody has any questions as Rob's doing that, just throw them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer.
Can you see that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
You can make it the presentation.
Gosh, man, this is incredible. I've got like tech support and everything. I may not know how to do presentations.
It's fine. Go ahead. Just go.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, you're diving into like some skill sets I haven't developed yet, Brad.
It's okay.
So okay, let's take this, and I'll be real quick on these because we've spent some time. But if you refocus everything you've heard over the last few days, and we'll get to strength, and we'll sit there for a little bit. You've got mind, strategic leadership. Okay, you need to show up and bring some strategy to your thinking right now. Okay. That's not going to be as easy as you think because we are in a global pandemic that we don't do very often. So give yourself some grace. But this is where there's policies and there's procedures and there's responsibilities and there's structure and there's assumptions and there's beliefs. I want you to know those have been disrupted, and part of you're going to have to access the part of your leadership, your strategic leadership, to realign some of those things with those around you. You begin to think about the framework that you're in and how that framework has shifted. When we go down into the heart, we begin to think collaborative leadership or relational leadership. Now this is the one that we're very anemic with. CEOs and executives are waking up to the reality that they have humans on their workforce that are in pain, that are afraid, that are suffering. So this is where you have to learn how to connect to the heart of the people in your life, and then bring in and then align with shared values and emotional intelligence. You're going to have to channel, you're going to be reading your Brene Browns and your Susan Davids. You're going to have to go get those books. And if you haven't done that, you're going to have to go, because this is the part where you're going to go, I'm going to have to grow as a relational, collaborative leader. And there's relationships of trust. How do we relate to one another in our enterprise? This is going to be utmost importance, Brad. This is where you thrive. When I've seen your work, this is where you thrive. And helping leaders have these tools. So find a guide. If you don't do heart well, go find someone like Brad or someone else that will help you show up to learn how to do this well, this style of leadership, because if you don't, you're going to be set apart, and really you're going to offer an outcome, but it's not going to have the resilience that it needs.
Yeah, and I would say on that, just because I am a heart guy, I was going to speak up on heart.
Trigger word.
Yeah, trigger word, right? Is that this is the one, and this is the quadrant. This is going to give you the stamina and resilience for the journey, because then I'm not at it alone.
Yeah,
I can show it for myself, and all these. It just really helps in that space, because it's going to be a long journey ahead, and this is that connection and matter and belonging, that Jeff talked about. That is important during this time, and including everybody in this, because this is a long journey ahead.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
And I'm saying, Brad, it's only when you acknowledge the fact that someone is human, which is often a heart connection. Hey, Brad, I know I'm afraid. I know you're afraid, Brad. Okay, I'll stay with you. I mean, I can't save you. I'm also afraid too. Like, there's a lot going on in our company. But we can connect together in our fear or our sadness or our loss. We can connect there. Okay. Yep. What I'm really just saying to you is, like, I'm human and so are you, and it's okay to be human.
Yep.
Okay. Now there's a work reality to that. Then I take you over to soul, and we go to visionary leadership. Well, you're going to have to channel that part of you that says, all right, I've got strategy in mind. I've got collaboration and relationship in mind. Now I need to channel my visionary leadership. We need a vision to chart a new course. So we need compelling vision. We need innovation. Innovation right now is probably going to be on a high, because people have to innovate. Right now it's innovate or die. Normally innovation's like, we'll give 5% of our budget to innovation. Well, people right now, because they're like, if we don't figure out how to innovate, we're not going to actually even be here. So this is where you channel the soul. It begins to give meaning to what our new future could look like. You have to do all of these. That's what I'm saying. We have to at least be aware or channel or gather people around us. And then I'll bring us to where we are today, which is the strength quadrant, where I'm going, all right, strength is operational. It's operational leadership. It's taking all those other three things and saying, now I need to go deliver something. Superior execution. Okay, that's going to be a little harder right now than normal. I think we're going to do messy execution, which we're going to need more grace for, but it's okay. Okay, this is, what are our goals? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? How do we deliver excellent service in the midst of a pandemic? Like, so this all becomes, how do we perform? Like, how am I going to show up to this life, up to my team, up to my family, up to my community? How am I going to show up and operate? That is a huge thing that we're dealing with here. And regardless of whether you resonate with one or two or all of these, I'm telling you, you have to lean into all. Like, now you may have a bias. Like, I'm actually really good at operations, or I'm really good at strategy. You may have that bias. The last 4 days has not told you to pick your favorite. It's actually told you to consider all four, integrate all four, but you can't do what you're not aware of. And I'm just telling you, leadership culture as we know it, as I said in the beginning, has predominantly told us about strategy and operation. So we know how to operate. Strength is actually quite a good gift of ours. I will say we don't know how to operate with those bottom quadrants, the relational and visionary leadership integrated, which will make our operational leadership different. And
Yeah, especially if we didn't do it before.
Correct.
But I would tell you this, I don't know if the word's easier, but people are wanting the below the line right now. And so
Correct.
The ability for you to even step in with some simple questions or how are you feeling? What do you need? How can I help? Even those three.
Yeah.
Open that door.
Yeah. Your mind work will help you understand what's going on.
Yep.
Okay. Your heart's going to help you relate to yourself and others.
What would you say to people that maybe say things or might be afraid of, like, that's going to take too long. I don't want to walk through all those, or I can't really, can't do this every time, or, that's not what got me here. Like, what would you say to, just those leaders that might have some apprehension or don't do this normally, or, what would you say or advice to them for that?
I get it. That's what I'd say. I get it.
Mm.
We've been in a culture where we've been told to think harder and work smarter. I mean, I'm like, I get it, man. We're inviting you into witchcraft, it sounds like, for some, like feelings for others. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this touchy-feely stuff? Like, what is this? Get it, man. I get your objections. Like, if we get objections, it would be strange. You're inviting people onto, right? What you've invited them onto over the last 4 days is slower and more meaningful. Okay. A quick win. People go, we want a quick win. You don't even know why you're winning. They want a quick win. Well, you get a quick win because you want to be motivated, but you don't even know why you're motivated. What I would say to people is, what's the alternative? Like, if you don't want to do this, what is the alternative? And it's not a judgmental spirit. The part of I understand, like, you've got to survive. I get it. But I'm just saying, in the long run, I promise you now, your employees will be damaged emotionally and mentally and physically for at least a decade to come. Like, we're not going to snap out of the last few months. So what choice do you have but to begin to lean into heart and soul, to get good at it? And like I said in the beginning, do it for yourself. Because if you're trying to teach someone how to have a heart, or if you're trying to teach them how to have a soul, it's not going to work. You're going to have to recover your own so that you can have something else to give them. So come on the journey. I don't think you've got a choice. The mental health crisis. When's the media when they just like poke stuff to make, I don't know what it's called, but I'm not here to poke a fire or poke a bear, as you would say. I'm just telling you, there's a mental health crisis coming that the executive CEO has had the privilege of not having to deal with up to now, and they will not have the privilege or the luxury of not being able to face that. So the quicker they show up to do their own, the more realistic they'll be able to be available and ready and capable of helping others do what? Execute. but execute differently.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here.
No, that's great, Rob. And I think that one of the things that we wanted to do and really kind of showing people how to walk through these quadrants was actually, was a question that, you and Jack always ask, even me and all the leaders that, we work with and you work with which is, what's your greatest leadership challenge? And just seeing how that can be walked through and even that processing. And I have been so fortunate to volunteer. So
you just get all the fun, don't you?
Yeah. So before I even do this, I'm going to kind of look, what I'm thinking about this is, okay, I'm going to throw some things out there. And my feelings are, I have some fear. I have some anger around it because I hope, I really hope that people resonate with this. I have some gladness that I get the opportunity, and I have some shame because I don't know what's going to happen out there. I can shame myself into this. So I think that before I even step into this, I think for me, it's understanding how I feel about sharing this with all of you. And I think that, I'll just kind of my biggest leadership challenge right now, and then Rob's going to walk me through this, is that I don't know how I can best support my clients and new clients right now. Right. It's just so much going on, so many different ways to go about it.
So Brad, I'm going to interrupt you because you're such a willing participant.
Yes. Great.
I'm going to slow you down.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the first part of this exercise is, all right, guys, let's slow down. Like the world is crazy. Let's slow down. So there's this moment where you're going to have to catch yourself. Okay. So I'm catching you for a minute. All right. And so now I'm going to help. Brad, you got a challenge. What is your challenge? You got a leadership challenge. What is that challenge?
For me, I want to serve my clients as best as I can. And I don't know the best way to support them, new and current right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what's right.
Okay. So Brad's got this challenge. He wants to support his clients, but, he just doesn't quite know how. Like, what is the best way to do that? Maybe for a second, pause for a second too while we sit on that. What is your challenge? Because what'll help this experience as you watch Brad wrestle with his, stop for a minute if you're listening in and go, what is your greatest leadership challenge right now? You can make it personal or you can make it professional, or you can choose professional because it's a little safer on this call. And when you get off, you can take the same process and apply that to a personal challenge. So for a minute, what is your greatest challenge right now? Like a challenge, and there's plenty of them. If you really don't, I'll borrow of mine. So Brad, restate that one more time. What is your leadership challenge?
Yeah, I don't know how to best support, my current clients and even new ones that would come on.
All right, let's try this. Let's do something quickly, fun, impulsive. Let's take current leadership industry, how they'd help you fix this. All right, Brad, strategically, what's happening? Let's go to your mind. Like, well, just give me some facts and figures. Like, what's the deal? Like,
yeah, it's crazy right now. It's kind of out of control. Paradigms are being disrupted. There's relationships probably that people don't have, budget for this, and don't even know like what budget means, right now. I think that there's, why would we need coaching? Why would we need culture right now? Why?
Yeah, that all makes sense. Like everything you said there makes sense. So in light of all that, what are you going to go do? So let's just go straight to strength. What are you going to do about your leadership challenge?
Probably just create resources, build things, do more offerings, work harder, work longer, push my employees to do that. Just say, hey, I got a new idea. Let's spin it up and see if it works. And just kind of haphazardly just go about it.
Yeah. You seem like a guy who knows how to get stuff done. You're going to get it done.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you got this leadership challenge. I try to slow you down enough. I get you back into the mind. Like what's happening is easy to figure out, right? I mean, you're like this thing, this is this. What are you going to do? Well, I'm probably going to do this. If you notice and watch Brad's experience in this, I don't doubt on here going to be able to show up to our leadership challenge, knowing what's going on and figuring out the bit, like a couple things we could do, like throw mud against the wall, work harder, work longer. I love that. Okay. So, but let's try something different. Let's go back to your mind for a second. Slow it down a little. Paradigms are shifting. Structures are shaking. The business world as we know it is different. Okay, got it. Okay, let's go to the bottom. Brad, let's go to heart.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Scared.
Yeah.
Sad, because I know some of the leaders, what they're feeling and going through right now.
What do you want for them?
I want them to have the time to check in with themselves. I want them to understand that, their position is not their identity, and I think that their humanity is their identity. And I know a lot of times we get caught up in that. And so slowing down and understanding you're still a good person, and you got the right values, and you're treating your people the right way. We're all having business issues.
Yeah. So now we went from like, you've got this problem, okay, and it's logical and you're going to do something about it, to you just kind of cracked open the armor for a minute and you actually let us into your heart for yourself, like what you're feeling. But then you took it further. I said, what do you want? And you started to talk about your clients in a way that makes me want to be your client. It's like, wow, you care that much? And what do you care about them? You care about who they are, what they're going through. Okay. So that's now allowing you to catch up to your challenge in a different way. Like you actually do care. Okay. Well, then let's go over to soul real quick. And let's put that there. And soul is often a why question. Brad, why do you care? Why is this important to you? And how will you, from a soul perspective, gain altitude on your problem?
Because I've been there. And I know, what it feels like. I know what not to do. I know the valley. And I know that if I raised up and looked higher, leaders need a community they can lean on. And they also need to know that this doesn't just affect the conference room table, but it affects the dinner table, and really why I created the collective. It goes back to our why.
You've been there. Okay. So it's personal. And you've also seen a lot of other leaders, haven't you? Like worked with a lot of leaders.
A lot. Yes.
And so you've seen a lot of them through the same lens. You've seen what it looks like and what it feels like when they catch up, when their companies catch up to their hearts and their souls, and then they execute. You've seen it.
Yeah, I've sat.
You have perspective.
Yeah, I've sat through tears. I've sat through hard decisions. I've sat through so many things that you don't even want to do as a leader. But I think that my why is to be in it, not to be in front of you, just to be with you.
Yeah. So, wow, like I just now, in the beginning, I got like, here's what's happening and here's what I'm going to do. And you rally your team and off you go. Well, now you took us to the heart. You told me how you're feeling. I can resonate. I got my own feelings about my own company. Then you told me how much you care. You accessed how much you actually care about your people. Then went over to soul, and then you accessed the meaning, the purpose, vision of why the collective even started. Like how it came out of you, but also it came out of you seeing other people that were experiencing the same thing. And you've created a structure that can begin to hold those tensions. And then let's go back over strength, Brad, and let's finish strong now. Now we're trying to bring this leather couch up over the line. Yeah, we're trying to, because you just gave us leather. You gave us some of the like history, some of the taste, the touch, the smell, the sensation of your insides. I'm just telling you, if I'm one of your clients or if I work for you now, I'm a whole lot more motivated to do stuff for you or do stuff with you. I'm a whole lot more motivated because you see me, you're with me, but then you're also into a story that's far greater and bigger, which is, this is why the collective even exists. So look back over strength now. And as you think of your challenge, how would you do it differently, having gone down to the bottom?
Instead of spinning it up and just doing things, calling and just checking my leaders and just say, how you doing? How you feeling? What do you need? Be with them. Listen. Because a lot that I hear is there's a lot of leaders, they don't have anybody that listens to them. You know, as they say, you know, it's lonely at the top. And I think that if I can just sit in and be there and create some sort of inclusive community to where, you know, if I see an opportunity to connect to leaders, but then, you know, really provide, not just spin up things, but provide resources that they want and need. Because of what they said and because of what they're looking for that's different, that's in the marketplace.
So if you heard it, doing is coming out of your being. Like I said, what are you going to do? You said, I'm going to be with them, hold them. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to see what they're feeling. I'm going to be with them. And then out of that being, I'm going to do something. And that's what this pathway has done. We took you down to integrate being. And so now your actions, Brad, different. They're spinning. You kept saying spinning. I'm not just spinning something. I'm actually bodying or from the inside out. It's inside out approach, right? Hey, let's create a program, fill it. Okay, the outside in. The inside out is, well, what kind of program do we need to create and why? And your leaders say, Brad, we're lonely. Brad, we're lonely. Brad, we're afraid. Brad, we don't. And then you go, out of that, let's create, let's do. Those actions are far more integrative than what we did in the first step. Would you agree?
Oh, completely.
Yeah. So that's just such a small little glimmer of accessing more of who you are than just kind of sticking in those top quadrants.
Yeah. Feels better too.
How so?
Just that I caught up with myself so that I could have a different perspective and meaning about even more, and almost got back to the roots of why I do this versus just building, creating, analyzing, going. It's like, yes, that's important, but it just feels deeper and more meaningful.
You seem more connected to why we're even on the conference, like why we're even here. I think you just caught up to yourself. Even I was like, wow, this is kind of a special opportunity. This is coming out of heart and soul. Like what a gift. I love that.
Thank you for going through that, Rob. And you know, as we kind of, you know, have a couple minutes left here and wrap up, you know, we just walked through some, you know, that I believe is necessary as we look at kind of those unfortunate stats, you know, around the leadership, that like those things aren't going through things like you just did, you know, with me. And when leaders kind of run up, when they want to do this, and what are they going to run up against when they try to do this with themselves or even others? What are some of those things they might wrestle with or struggle through, or, you know, because this isn't just a one-time, okay, I literally have these things in my office, and I will step on each one of those and kind of be in each one of those quadrants, so I can kind of look at it from that perspective. But what are the things people maybe like run up against and you know, might be a barrier if they want to lean into this type of transformative learning and leading?
Just that you have the entire leadership industry against you. That'll be a barrier. And you have, and life is hard, man. And we in our lives, if you don't realize the fact that life is a challenge, I mean, challenge is an optimistic way to say life is hard. You got to show up to this thing. And I think it's just a part of me that would just say, people that are willing to be with you, and out of that being, you can do. Because I'm locking arms with people that are okay to be in my humanity. Because man, I'm bolstered. Because you and I are going to have to wake up and we're going to have to kill something and drag it home. we're going to have to deliver. We're going to have to execute. That's what strength's about. If you never get there, you're full of ideas. They never get to life. But find other people that you can feel a little safer with, growing the parts of yourself that are a little bit developed because of really the leadership culture we've kind of know, and we've been trained underneath.
That's great, Rob. And then why is your team and or organization more inclined to go with you on the journey ahead by using this type of pathway in leadership versus maybe what you even brought into the conference or watched or anything on Tuesday? You know, like, why are they probably more inclined or attracted to?
I think just for the reason you just did your exercise, Brad, I got more connected to you and the collective, and I leaned in closer the more that you shared the sides of how you are, but really the meaning and the purpose behind it. I think employees they cannot escape being human, and they're looking at people that will treat them like humans, not machines. Mm-hmm. Now, I get that there's a transactional reality to work. It's not a family. We can embody family values, but at some point I can fire or hire someone. But still, to know that there's human dignity attached to that, there's care and concern. And even when they fire me, know how sad and painful that is. I think employees will want to know, man, I still want to be human. And they're going to be drawn to that. Those CEOs that are just like, all right, cool, trying and get back to it. The employees are like, yeah, I need a job, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can get out of bed to do this anymore just to deliver. Like, I just don't know if I can. I think we're going to need more than that.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions, you know, kind of wrap up or they have in there. I would love to, you know, Rob, answer questions. But I think the biggest thing is you think about what we talked about, kind of think about the whole conference too, but more specifically this. What are some of your takeaways that you would just kind of, you know, give this group of leaders and give anybody who's going to watch this, you know, post this event? What will be kind of the top takeaways from you that you would give them kind of for this quadrant, considering all the others?
Gosh, ask that one more time for me, Brad. I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah, just from everything that we talked about today, what do you believe is really kind of the top takeaways that you would offer, you know, this group from the strength, but understanding, considering the others?
Yeah. I think we've said it so many times, integration. Think integratively, think holistically. If you walk away from this, you have a problem. And if you try to solve it with a linear solution, you're going to really have a hard time. Mm. So think integratively, and systemically is going to be your friend. Okay. And systemically means there's a system at play. Everyone interacts with everything else. Every program, every person, every product, it's systemic. So if you begin to think systemically as a leader, I think you're going to really thrive in this next season that we have coming up. Thinking systemically means heart, soul, mind, strength. Another takeaway is, as you've heart, soul, mind, strength, there's probably one or two of these categories that you're like, yeah, that's me. That's where I sit. That's where I lead. So I would say, great, play to your strengths. But rather than neglect your kind of deficiencies, another takeaway I would say is begin to get curious and lean in towards the quadrants that you're most afraid of, that you most misunderstand, that you neglect, so you can begin to grow yourself to be more holistic and more integrated as a leader. I think forward. I think catch yourself when you're impulsive, and then do what I did to Brad. Slow down. Just like catch yourself. Like start to realize and pay attention to how impulsive you are. That's me every day. I'm like, wait, slow down, Rob, slow down. And what am I saying slow down for? What's going on? Gosh, I'm really afraid. Or I lack perspective, okay, soul. Or I don't actually know what's going on here, mind. If you can slow down long enough, you can isolate what's actually triggering your franticness. And then once you figure that out, you can integrate, and your actions become a whole lot more meaningful. Easy, Brad. 1, 2, 3, done. Boom.
2, 3. Thank you. If anybody has,
guys, it's such a journey.
It is. Yeah, I think that you know, as we wrap up here, and just stay with me for 3 minutes and I'll have you guys done. I just want to say thank you for engaging us over the last, you know, 4 days. It means a lot, you know, to us, and it means a lot for you to ask your questions, reach out to us. I've got so many emails and texts and stuff after this. We want to be here to help you. We want to be here to walk this pathway with you. And we really want to help on especially the below the line work of the heart and soul. Because probably a lot of you got to where you are today, you know, because of the mind and strength, and maybe the heart and soul too. But, you know, I know that I got there because of that. But we just want to be with you on this. And we really love for you to share these videos with people and these webinars. And we're so grateful for, you know, anytime we get to get in front of leaders and knowing that your time, your 1 hour right now, is important to you. And we hope that during this time, you know, maybe you'll step back into next week with a little bit different perspective. And maybe you'll go in that first meeting with a little bit more humanity. And maybe you'll go into that next meeting with your board or your team and look at visionary and visionary leadership a little bit differently, so that we don't just go and do. Because what's the old adage, you know, in the leadership meetings, 1 hour a meeting can produce 10 hours of work below. I think that this can help that be more meaningful, more integrated, and definitely with more depth. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. And for us, you know, we are developing a couple things around the one-on-one coaching in partnership with Transform Leader and the other people that were on this. And then ultimately we are doing some cohorts. We're going to create kind of this community that we can go on this journey with people. And you know, if you're interested, please reach out. If you know somebody that wants to be a part of it, your industry wants to be a part of that, please reach out. You know, I'm just grateful for all the people that came on these last 4 days, and especially, you know, my good friend Rob here, that really wrapped it all together. And you did fantastic job, Rob. And I'm so excited for, you know, these people to take it and go do something with it, but then also share it with others. It's important work, and we want to be with you in it. So as I close it out here, this has been Collective Conversations, Coaching the Comeback, and we're here for you to help you coach the comeback. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Strong word, Rand. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.